Why, hello, children. It's tutorial time. Okay, quick tutorial or a little pipeline thing here. So this is Rokoko. I've taken, this is me in the suit doing my little zombie thing. And the idea is to get this animation into Unreal Engine for cinematics stuff. So currently, even though the new Rokoko Studio has an Unreal Engine export, and I missed a huge part, is I also want to be able to clean up and change the motion capture in Blender with a control rig. That's the big thing that I'm showing off here. That actually works really well if you know the proper steps. It's all stuff out there, but I don't know if anybody's actually put it together and shown other people that this works properly. So you can't just send the Unreal Engine skeleton to Blender because it ends up being rotated 90 degrees. It's also rotated 90 degrees when it gets to Unreal Engine, but Unreal knows to like rotate things back properly. But I still think that probably won't work for game development. Anyway, Rokoko's going to fix that, so this process will probably be old pretty quick. But let me show you how I do this currently to make this work. So I've exported this just like you see here, Unreal Engine, nothing special, and we're going to throw that export over. I've already done it because I did all this once and it just didn't work out. The funny thing I learned is never leave Unreal open while you're recording video. Let me make sure I'm still recording. Yeah, never leave Unreal open here because it gets super duper laggy. So here is this take. It named it take 5 underscore UE for Unreal. So these arms are what I want to fix, right? So it comes into Unreal, it looks nice, but if you look at the pelvis here, if we stop it on this first frame, you'll see that it's got a 90-degree rotation, which that will not allow you to translate that rig into Blender because of that, and there's no way to fix that. That's actually on the rest pose. But I can export this back out, just simply asset actions export, and let's see, I've already done it here on take 5, but we'll do it again just so you can see. Yep, I want to replace that. So you can see my settings here. It's nothing special. I just want to make sure that the preview mesh is with it. I don't want level of detail or collision, because we're not going to bring any of this back in. We're just going to bring the skeleton back in to Unreal. So all this should be fine. I'm going to hit export and let that happen, and then definitely minimize this time, right? And then go into Blender. I'm laughing because I just wasted like an hour showing how to do this. And then import an FBX, and we're going to go back to that. I think it's right above out. Yeah, there it is. That take 5 that we just. Here's something important: do not mess with these settings. The Rokoko guys always say, "Oh, use automatic bone orientation." Do not do that because we are using a plugin from Epic to make this work. So, and it'll screw up if you do something like that. So just import it. Regular. You know what? I forgot to do something. We're going to hit the undo key and make sure my units are 0.01. Somebody told me that they've fixed this where you don't need to do that anymore, but I'm not going to sit here and try and test it on a tutorial. So I know it works this way. So import FBX. Same guy. Nothing changed. Okay, so he's got the bones that are kind of wacko looking, which is fine. The problem is if you select the rig and hit tab into the edit mode, the rest position of this thing is wrong, right? So we need to rotate this guy into the correct position. And what's funny is it's actually, if you look at it, it's actually here. It's rotated wrong. And it's funny because this all has like animation on it, and that's the bone. That's like the main root, like the skeleton, which shouldn't even have animation. So you can just clear all this stuff, clear keyframes, clear keyframes, and then knock out this rotation here, so we can get this guy when you hit tab here, he's in the right correct position. So we also want him in the right position, so it gets a little weird here. In order to do that, let's go to the first frame of the animation, frame 1, where they put this main pose on him, and let's get rid of the animation on there. I think this is the easiest way to do this. Control Tab will put you into pose mode, select every bone, and then Alt R to reset the rotation and Alt G to reset the translation, and make sure you make that a keyframe location rotation. And then when you Alt Tab back out, now you can hit Tab and Tab. This is what you want. You want to be able to have a skeleton that when you enter edit mode, it's literally in the exact position it is on the where you're about to translate. And I'm saying this for Rokoko, like when you import the skeleton, it needs to be in this position so that when you translate any animation to another skeleton, it works, and it's not going to whack out, and you still get to use plugins like Unreal to Rigify and stuff like that. So Unreal to Rigify, you got to go get that. I recommend that, and I recommend this animation layers to clean up mocap. They're both super useful. So I'll show those real quick. Select the skeleton here. It's always going to be root because that's what Epic names the mannequin skeleton root. This does not work yet for metahumans. I personally, the metahuman head and the face is what I really want. So I want all these cool outfits that I'm going to steal from mannequins anyway, so that's not a big deal to me. So I will hit convert and give this some time. This is going to go through every single frame and convert the IK to the animation that we're providing it. And it's going to give it the Rigify control rig, which is really super, super useful. And I'll just stop the video real quick. Oh, before I even hit stop on the video, it was done. So it's pretty fast. So what it gives you is if I turn these guys into IK, these feet, I'm going to turn them into IK, meaning there's, does that make sense? So he's fully rigged now. Fully rigged in the Rigify rig, so that's very cool. I'm going to turn this back to FK because he's been animated on FK. So if we run through the animation, he's of course sideways, but we'll fix that in a second. Everything's working, right? So how do you fix that? You just rotate the root controller is what I personally do. So you can do that by delete, because there doesn't need to be any animation on this root controller. So you can simply delete all the animation that's there. I'm in pose mode. I've selected this big base root controller and go down to the keyframes and hit delete. And it doesn't change anything because it's not supposed to move, at least not for this kind of stuff. So then you can take this thing and rotate it on the x-axis. I hit R, X, 90 degrees, and then hit enter. And I don't think I need a keyframe on that. It just will work. So there he is. He's now facing in the correct direction, and he's working. So now, how do we fix all this mocap stuff, like his arms or in his body and stuff like that? Easy peasy, actually. We just need to we got to turn him into an IK version of this same rig, which is just a few button clicks, but it takes a long time. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Then I'm going to do it 4 times because you need to do it for left and right foot and left and right hand. And then we'll do a tiny bit of cleanup, and then I'll show you how to get it back into Unreal Engine, which is just export the root bone anyway. This is the main thing I think everybody's going to want to see. And maybe this, the fact that like I can select one of these IK handles, even though it has seems to have animation on it, it really shouldn't, because it doesn't do anything. You can delete all that animation if you want to. I probably will, just to make sure it doesn't mess anything up. And then grab this guy, and we're going to translate this. This is actually the foot here, the right foot. It doesn't matter. All you have to do is know that we're looking for IK to FK, and if I just click this IK to FK, you'll see what it does. It'll only do it for one frame, but what it does is it snaps that rig to, or that what do you call that? That tool to his foot for that frame. Now we want to do it for every single frame. So what we do here is right underneath IK to FK is this button called Action. And so if you click Action and you let it run, you click this thing, because it's going to take a long time. It's going to go through every single frame, and it may take 5 or 10 minutes possibly for as many frames I have. I can't remember how many frames I have here. Let's grab something. About 270 frames. It'd probably take like three or 4 minutes, maybe less. But that's what we're going to do for each one of these. And then when I come back, you're going to see that he'll have a keyframe on every single frame for each one of these controls. And yeah, so let's do that for this one. Make sure it's not FK to IK. It's going to be IK to FK. Action, apply. And then we'll come back in just a little bit. Okay, I've put all the IK pieces together, and yeah, they now have notice a keyframe on every frame. Remember, I deleted those earlier. Now they have a keyframe back on every frame, and you can. The thing is, it's still running with forward kinematics with these legs. You have to turn these guys on by selecting them, and right here, IK to FK, just set that down to 0. And now I should be able to grab this and move it around just like you normally would. You have to do that to each of these IK tools. Notice how this one spun around. So some of these have some issues within this rotate bone, which is pretty easy to fix actually. If you go to the animation layer, go to, this is part of mocap cleanup stuff anyway. Go to the graph editor, and when we back up, you notice that we have some pretty extreme changes here in this graph. Let's take a look at this leg. So notice the knee is facing in the right direction in this little section, but as soon as it gets to this section, it flips around. The easiest way to fix this, honestly, is to simply delete these keyframes. These keyframes are out of range anyway, so you just select them all and hit delete, and let the computer tween properly for you. So right there, you can see that works. The truth is, because I've already fixed the legs, see that one right there? Let's grab that one. See it? See the pops? You got 2 of them. So we just simply grab those, delete them, grab that one, delete that. And now no more pop. You got a little bit of funkiness, I think, right there. See it? That's this guy. So just get rid of that frame. No more funkiness. Okay, he has a little leg freaks out there. So if you want, I think that's going to be a link thing. You can see a little pop there even. If we want that's kind of out of range. But anyway, that's kind of how you, and you can see these little pops. These are all little shakes. See it? You can see that thing moving right there. And if you really want clean motion capture, you're going to take each one of these and just delete them. Just get rid of those upper sections. Try to smooth this out as much as possible. So let's see what's happening here. Right here, he's going into a turn. So you can grab like those 3 keyframes and just delete them and get a nice smooth transition. So anyway, see, all this is kind of the same stuff. You don't need these rotations in here. So if you wanted to really clean this up, you could just start deleting giant sections of these, just like that. See how nice and smooth it is now? Anyway, that's super quick motion capture cleanup stuff. I do think his hands obviously go through. We need to turn those on, by the way, and this will create some other problems. You can already see. Well, no, that looks pretty good. This guy is what gets weird. This dude here, see how strange his graph is? So if we turn him on, let's use that N key, go back here to IK, FK, let's switch him over to IK. You'll notice that arm kind of flips around, and that's this fixer right here. That's part of the IK chain. And the truth is, we could do this by hand, which would probably be the easiest way. That's definitely an error right there. That's probably where it begins, yeah. So we can delete that, and then see where else it happens. Yeah, there's a massive pop right there. But what we could do, honestly, is just take this whole thing and get rid of it. You notice there's a bunch of animation down here. Let's make sure we're not messing anything up. Those are all pops too, but they're just tiny little ones. So what happens if we delete all of that? His elbow is going to tween, from one direction to another, which is pretty weird. We kind of want it out here, but not here. So you could always go in here and add some keyframes. Let's do I want that's what I wanted. This little side view, and we want it on local. We always animate on local. So let's turn on auto key, so when we move something, it'll automatically key, and we kind of key that guy back here. So it goes from here to here. That looks right? And then we don't want all this nonsense, so this looks okay. When he gets out here, we might want a keyframe here to kind of just push him out just a little bit, and then again keep pushing him out, keep pushing that elbow out, and keyframing it. Leave some space in between so the computer can tween in between, right? So it goes in there really massively. Let's rotate that all the way out like that. And then he's going to spin, isn't he? So because he spins, we know that this whole range here is off target. So we can just move the whole range, G, Y, all the way down here to where, see how it spins back? So we want to spin him back so that his elbow doesn't spin around, and then as he goes up, then you get this animation curve here. So anyway, that's another, how to fix animation little thing, and you want to go through a lot of stuff. What's funny though, like his legs have already been fixed, so the truth is I wouldn't even turn on IK for his legs. I would go ahead and leave these FK because they work. So why mess with something that works? But his arms and his shoulders and stuff, they got to be fixed. Namely, like this being out of whack. Now we can't keyframe because it's got a keyframe on every frame. So I use a plugin called Animation Layers. Animation Layers. In order to turn this on, though, we're going to need to run over here to the nonlinear animation, and we need to get rid of these. We can't have these guys here because that's what Animation Layers uses to create the base layer and the new one. So we got to kind of carefully figure this out. We can delete this. He's still got animation. We should be able to delete that layer and maybe even delete this. Let's see if it works now. So let's run back into the dope sheet. Animation action. We know that there's the base layer action. That's really what we're animating against here. This base layer. So let's go ahead and turn this on and see if it works. Okay, it's still working, so we got it turned on. Now we just hit the plus button to add two layers. The base layer, which has all the keyframes on it, and then a new layer that we're going to animate on top of that base layer. It's almost like Photoshop in that way. So I can now, it has its animation, but I can change that. So from, say, here, I like it, I like it, I like it. Here's where the kind of the end of where I like it, right about here. So I'll insert a keyframe here. That's one of my, what would you call that? Like an anchor keyframe. And let's go forward and say, okay, I kind of like it around here, especially when he comes up, right about there. And I'm going to make another, I'm hitting the I key, another keyframe. And everything behind it, though, I'm going to change. Everything in this orange area. So when it comes down here, we definitely don't like that. Let's bring this out, way out like this. And because I have auto key, it's just going to make a key for me. So now, when it comes through, it's still, let's do a little better than that. Let's actually pull him out even more. He's still clipping here. But we can either rotate, we can actually make it even more out here. Oh, that's not what I want. I'm going to delete that frame for a second because I kind of want that right dead in the middle. Way out here. Way out, and it kind of comes around that shield, or that piece of armor. And then even here, you know, it's probably like too far out, right? So we want to bring it back. But it starts to slowly tween back to its original state, right? So we just need to make sure somewhere back here that he's nice and out here, maybe. And so, yeah. So that works pretty good. So we'll do the same thing to the other side. Where do we like it? Where do we not like it? I like he right about there. He starts to penetrate. So let's, right here, we'll make a keyframe. And when he raises his arm here, right there is a good spot to make another keyframe. So we're going to fix everything in between. Right here, we want this to be... Oh, did we not? Oh, we didn't turn this on. Got to turn it on. Where is it? Item. Yeah, see, it's still in FK mode, so turn that on. He has some issues, so let's go fix those over here in the graph editor for that thing. Graph editor NLA, not NLA, graph editor for this guy. Where's he at? Oh, that's weird. Oh, because I'm in the wrong layer. Let's go back to my animation layers. Base layer. His broken stuff is in the base layer, not in the animation layer. So make sure you're selected the base layer and this guy, and then yeah, you can see he's all kinds of messed up. So where's he work? He works kind of here, down here. So let's just get rid of all this stuff and see if that fixes him. And he's got some poppies. Where's he at? He's got that. Is a bad pop. Delete. I'm guessing this is going to rotate around. No, it doesn't. This is still some... this doesn't work. Let's get rid of all these. It's just that it's making a bunch of noise in this stuff. So not too bad. Looks a little funky. We could always grab the rotation and kind of throw him out a little bit on a keyframe. See, and he's a little too far out here, so maybe push him back. Right, not until he... What is that? That's another pop in here somewhere, I think. It's possibly that. I don't know. Yeah, it was. So the more keyframes you release or delete, the smoother it's going to be there. So okay, it's nice and smooth, no pops, and it looks like it's kind of what we want. There's a lot of rotation here. Let's make sure he comes up. It looks right. Oh gosh, there's a big old pop right there. Let's look in here and see where that is. There it is. It's amazing how something that small will create so many problems. So delete that. Let's make sure this isn't a pop. No, it doesn't look bad. Huh. Yeah, I might want to do this anyway, just to smooth that out. You can see all these little jiggity jaggities. You can always get rid of like every other one of these. Look at that. It's on every one of these. So, but I'm not going to do that. Let's just move forward, because that you can see, you can clear some of those out just by grabbing all these keyframes, kind of every other one, kind of like this, and just start smoothing. See how this is a lot smoother already? You just keep smoothing things out. You can even, grab the whole thing and, didn't want to do that. G and, smooth it like this if you want to. So those micro jutters, you're probably not going to see them, most likely. But if you really wanted to clean it up good, that's what you would want to do. Anyway, let's get back to his hand. Go back to our dope sheet. Make sure we're on the right layer to fix some animation. So he comes up, passes through his own body, which we don't want. We want to move this way out here probably, and maybe even rotate his hand like this. Right, so he comes up, he slowly moves back into the same position, but let's fix that. And we'll move it out like that. Let's see what that looks like. He's still kind of in there, isn't he? Maybe even rotate it out a little bit just to get it. Here, let's go to that keyframe, rotate that one out a little bit. That way it doesn't have to be so crazy out there. Leave it out. Let's see, where is he here? We can even rotate this out. All right. He's almost too far out now, so we can actually come in, hit the G key, and bring him back in. This rotation is not, I'm not happy with that upper arm rotation, but let's fix this first. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, yep. Let's grab this guy. You can either do it in this layer, but I've cleaned him up so much, I think we can go back to his base layer and look at this in the action editor, or the graph editor rather. So he's a little bit off here. Let's see. Notice that it's the green is the rotation that I want from him, and that will correlate to this green here. You can even hide the other stuff if you want to, and just look for these green rotation. It's going to be this one here. So that way I'm just using these eyeballs to see and not see the stuff that I want. So he comes up. That rotation is kind of crappy. Let's rotate that out more. Come up, rotates out. He ends up rotating back in there, but let's maybe rotate that one. Yeah, maybe something like that. And this goes through here, so we could take some of these and get rid of them to get that movement a little bit better, even more. See, as I delete these, the curve starts to allow the elbow to come out. Okay, that's pretty good. One of the things I don't like is this. Anyway, I'll fix that later. See, the neck is actually controlling this part of the mesh, but I'll have to fix that inside the mesh itself. That can't be fixed in the skeleton. All right, so let's look at this animation. Kind of fun to look at it here without the controls over here. And that looks pretty good. Let's export this puppy out back to Unreal Engine. because we want to render in Unreal. That's where the coolness happens. So you're not going to export this rig. This Rigify rig is controlling the main rig, which is this root here. So I'm going to click on show the root bones. Let's get out of the pose mode so I can select the skeleton root, file, export, FBX. Let's see, where am I at? Body, out. Out is, I usually make a folder called out. And this is the one I did before. I'll just do it again. I have my own UE5. All it does is make sure it's like selected only. And down here I don't do any leaf bones. And if I have geometry in it, I switch this to an edge smooth, which just causes it not to have any issues. Now, we're doing all the action, so it's going to give me both. If you look back at the dope sheet, I don't think, no, it'll let me. So if you look back at the action editor, notice I have two, actually I have three. I have the animation layer, and for some reason these two. I think it's going to give me at least two animations in Unreal Engine. But we'll just pick the right one, which is going to be this anim layer. It should bake all of it down to anim layer. All right, let's export. And then we can get rid of this. Well, when the export's done here, work, and then go back into Unreal Engine. Go to the folder that I exported that. There's my out, there's the night. Let's draw this guy in. Make sure that you're selecting the right skeleton, which is the correct skeleton, which is going to be this guy, this SK Goth. It has a little bug where you can't just select it and it go away. I don't know why. I have to select something different and then select the right one. There's nothing really to be set in here because you're only importing the skeleton. So just hit import all. And we ended up with the two animations here. Again, base layer and what's this one? Base layer and base layer. They're both called base layer. Okay. Source, base layer, and then root. Huh, I don't know. I think they're both the same, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, you can see little pops on his hand. That's maybe on my end. Let's see if the pops are in this one. Nope. Oh yeah, they are. They are. So they both have those little pops in his hand. But, you know, we have to fix that. If it's here, it's in, it's here, right? So, let's look. It was somewhere around here is those pops. Let's look over here. Oh, I don't see them. Let's go back more. Huh, I don't see that. Regardless, maybe it's something on the Unreal side. But anyway, that's how you clean up the animation on a mannequin and get it back and forth from Blender with the Rigify tools. Hopefully that helps somebody. And yeah, later.